Barbra, good evening to you, and thank you very much for joining me.
Good evening, Aubrey, and yes, good evening to everybody listening.
I tell you, I had reviews that were going out of the wazoo.
Really?
The last time you and I spoke. I think people just love talking about things that are, shall we call, alternative?
Oh, well, of course.
And I think myself and the producers of this show and the powers of the be are pretty surprised by the uptake of the weird and wonderful. What do you think the reason is?
Well, we all have a really powerful wish to know what lies ahead, which is why we listen to the weather forecast.
Sure.
We listen to the political commentators. We follow everything we can, because as soon as we have an idea of what might lie ahead, we can create a strategy so that we can be ready to deal with whatever might happen. And it's a really great thing as a practitioner of all these weird and wonderful things to be able to point out possible pitfalls or times of challenge or smooth progress that can help my clients actually plan their lives better and strategize.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you put the weird and wonderful, tarot reading, astrology in the same category as conversations that we have even about our political forecasts.
Exactly.
Our weather forecasts. Because, we tend to place the weather forecast at a very, very high level of trust, right?
Yes.
But we've also come to understand that they too are working on a whole set of probabilities and perhaps possibilities. And so it's interesting that you place it within that category. And quite frankly, I think you're correct. It's all in an attempt for all of us to get a sense, better grip of what might happen.
Exactly. So if there's an obstacle ahead, what will we do? X, Y, or Z? If there's a smooth time, when's the best time to launch a business or have a relationship, have a baby, or plan a product launch, and nobody really wants to change their lives. It's just we like to know, just we want to see a little bit further ahead so that we can be prepared.
Let's talk a little bit about time, all right, before we even get into the tarot cards and the philosophies that underpin its reality, right? Let's talk a little bit about this concept of time and the events that must take place in time, that will take place in time. How hard and fast, just from your perspective, is the idea that certain things will take place other than taxes and death?
Wow. Yes, hard and fast is easy to predict if there's just one person and one path. But we human beings are bombarded by a myriad of different things. Whatever we do, the outcome of whatever we do depends on other people. You cannot predict another person.
Yes.
You cannot climb into someone else's head.
Yes.
You cannot climb into understanding how the economy is going to move, because that's all dependent on people.
And so many variables, yeah?
Absolutely. And just one tweet can send people off on a total different direction.
Yeah.
And take things into levels that previously were never even thought of. So yes, how hard and fast are the predictions? Well, we can only look at the potential and the probabilities, because at the end of the day, the only certainty is what I decide to do and the impact that I see my actions have on the world around me.
On what basis then do tarot cards specifically do precisely that? What are the assumptions that tarot cards proceeds from in order to give us, I would imagine, fairly educated probabilities. What are the bases for that?
People have been trying to figure out how the heck tarot cards work since they were discovered, since they were designed and created in the 1600s.
Yeah.
The tarot is divided into suits like the cards. So we have wands and pentacles and cups and swords. And then we have the major arcana, which are the archetypal cards, which speak about the deeper or the longer term cycles in life, if you could put it that way. The cards, the pip cards all have a relation to seasons. So the pentacles are related to the earth signs, and the swords cards are related to the air signs. So when we look at the seasons and the astrological signs that these suits are linked to, that already gives us an idea of time frames within which things are going to move. Your pentacle cards, for instance, would mean things are going to happen, but they could take much longer, because the earth is a solid, and if you look at the seasons have a predictable but a particular course that they have to run in. Swords cards would mean that if you look for an outcome, say, when is something going to happen? If a sword card sits there, it could happen very quickly, because swords are linked to the mental area, the mental levels, and so we can change our mind. A thought can come and go that quickly. So swords will suggest that things can happen quickly. Emotions are linked to the water signs, and so if a cup, the water sign, the cups are the water, pentacles are the earth, and swords are the air. So when a cup card comes up as an outcome card, it would suggest that it may take some weeks, because emotions rise and fall. They have a rise and fall. And fire signs are, as you know, you strike a match, you have a fire, so they will speak about things moving quickly.
As you speak, I get visions of the old Swiss watch with the various cogs.
Yes, some wheels move slowly.
Yeah.
I used to be a watchmaker.
You did?
Yeah. So everything in a watch is carefully calibrated.
Yes.
And it will always work that way.
Yeah.
Because it's fixed things. But when we get to humans, we're a combination of physical energy, emotional energy, mental energy, and we have a spiritual aspect as well.
Yes.
And very often these things don't always work at the same pace.
Yes.
You know,
hence the big cogs, the smaller cogs, and so forth. But I'll tell you why I, as you were explaining that, I had in my mind pictures of, the naked sort of cogs of a watch when the face is taken off and you can see the inner workings of it. That there are certain assumptions that are made, I suppose, through a lot of research, education, and understanding the patterns of whatever it is that we're looking at any given time, that give us the knowledge to then create calibers, to create cogs that move according to those particular patterns, so that things are generally predictable, right? I work at night. I'm a talk show host. There are certain predictabilities about my life. So I know that there are certain things that I've got to make revolve around the very important events of my life. So I know that I've got to eat at a certain time in order to maximize my energy levels, so that I can sleep at a particular time. I can be driving to work at a particular time. So I can imagine how it is possible, even around the individual's life, to create cogs that mean certain predictable patterns in that particular person's time, barring, however, the freedom of choice that that particular individual has. And I suppose in the greater scheme of things, factoring in the fact that other human beings have freedom of choice. And so the mystery unfolds.
Exactly.
The mystery unfolds as a result of the fact that there's this thing called free moral agency in the midst of all of these predictable things. Yeah?
Indeed.
The question then becomes, Barbra, how come with all of these variables that are so huge in terms of their numbers, in terms of the probabilities of certainty, how is it that we can place any faith in a tarot reading?
Yes, that's a very, very good question. How do we place faith in anything? Actually, we believe in something because we've seen it work in our lives. You know, you will follow your particular path because if you go to church, you immediately get that sense of peace when you walk into a church.
Right.
Somebody who doesn't have that connection to the religion will go shopping around until he or she finds something that resonates with them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that we subconsciously use as our calibration. I can accept this, no, I can't accept this, or whatever. So it's always fascinated me how cards with pictures on can actually mean something in our lives.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like a skill set. You have, let's say, for instance, you're in a carpenter's workshop. You have hammers and nails and screws and saws.
Yes.
Which are your tools that you work with. You have your fasteners, your screws, your bolts, your nuts, your whatever else you use. And then you have your raw materials, the wood that you work with. So with the tarot, you have the cards which all symbolize something. And then you have to anchor them in time to find a context where all these different meanings can actually make sense.
Yes.
And that's what we use a layout for. So you have a layout that has set meanings.
Yes.
So for I like to use a 7-card layout, and I know that one of the first cards that comes up will tell me what's the most important thing in this person's question.
Yes.
We also, in order to get the best answer, the person having the reading needs to have a very clear question that will allow me to lay the cards out and get an interpretation of what this question would mean for them.
I've already got a whole lot of folks asking me questions. So
yes.
What is typically the way to ask a question
for
a tarot reading?
Yes.
And can it be done in an on-air sort of
absolutely. Yes.
radio production like you're doing right now?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
So I know that there's literally, it's crazy, literally thousands of people that are sending me messages right now. And I'm seeing them, it's just rolling like a treadmill.
Yeah.
How people are asking for readings. How would you typically want a question to be asked in order for you to give an effective reading?
Okay. The cards really don't like it. And I'm turning them into a person.
Yes, I see that. Yeah.
Personifying them.
Yeah.
The cards don't like it if you ask a question that's got a yes or no answer. So don't ask me, will I find a husband?
Yes.
Because the cards will either say yes or no.
Yes.
But a better question would be, what can I do to find a husband? Or will I meet somebody before the end of the year? Because I want to go traveling after the end of the year and I'd like to meet somebody
first. That's a yes
first.
or no question though.
No. So the cards will say it's a possibility, but they will also point out what has to happen, because before something can happen, we have to do things.
Right.
So it really all depends on the context.
So
if people I'm going to be doing 3 cards here in the show so that I can get to as many people as possible.
Yes.
So what what can the cards tell me about my current financial position? Or what can the cards tell me about my professional outlook?
Yes.
Or what can the cards tell me about why my relationship isn't happy right now?
Yes.
You know, and then we can just, obviously, you know, everybody's question is very, very important to them.
Do you need birthdays?
No birthdays,
Right.
just
so
a
you
question.
just need a question.
Yes.
And can the question be sent to me via text message, or do you need to hear a voice?
It's good if I hear a voice, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to be shuffling the cards.
Yes.
And then the person will tell me when to stop shuffling, because they're not touching the cards themselves.
Right.
They will stop shuffling, I'll bring them together, or I'll just randomly choose, and I'll point until they say choose that one, and I'll put my finger on the card, and then we'll select cards. So it's very random.
All right. So please, you've heard that. That's how it works, right? 011-883-0702. This is not about your birth date. It's about your voice, preferably. Mm-hmm. And you need to ask questions that are that aren't yes or no questions.
Yes.
In other words, questions that provide a greater scope of interpretation.
Indeed.
Right?
It's ask a seeker's question.
Yes.
Not just someone saying, oh, well, go on, tell me my fortune and impress me.
Yes. All right. Where did the tarot thing start from? Who came up with it? I mean, can I ask a question like who invented it? And what were the circumstances?
I'm not sure who really invented it, but the cards began to be used in Italy in the 1600s, where it was created as a parlor game for the wealthy people who were, you know, they didn't have to work, so they were bored. So it was just created as a diversion. So it started out as a game where they'd play almost like we play rummy today. And in fact, in Europe, people still play tarotchi today. And then they started using the cards as fortune-telling cards. And there's an entire philosophy in the field of study, and it's really very, very in-depth and highly symbolic as well. So we can use them to look at physical things. We can look at spiritual things. What can the cards tell me about my spiritual progress, or what do I need to do in order to break through my glass ceiling? It's a wonderful tool to help people plumb the depths of who they are and what they want to do and what they can do to make some of that a reality.
Interesting. Is there any connection perhaps to what we do here amongst our traditional sort of esoteric practices? For example, the Inyanga or Isangoma, for
very
example.
Similar.
Is it similar sort of
yes.
approaches, philosophies, you think?
Yes, because your Sangoma, your Inyanga, has his bones. But he can't read the bones unless you blow in the bag, right?
Yes.
So he has to do that in person.
Yes.
And when the bones have been thrown, the Inyanga understands what the layout, what it means when those are like this.
In the same way that you've thrown the cards, yeah.
Yes, it really, all systems of divination work in a similar way.
All systems of divination work in a similar way.
Yes.
And what intrigues me about what you've just said now is that it's found all over the world.
All over the world. And people will use runes, which are little pieces of wood with things carved into them.
Yep.
There's the bones. People use dice and playing
cards.
Candles.
Yeah.
Candles. I knew crystal ball readers.
Yes.
There's so many ways, because we all have an intuition, but sometimes we don't trust our own intuition, and that's why the tarot and all these other things are so useful.
I got to tell you that I'm bad as far as that is concerned. I've got too much trust in my own intuition. I think sometimes. And I hope it's not a narcissism or an arrogance of some sort, but I have a very strong intuitive sense of my own. To the point where I've disappointed members of my family and so forth, because I would listen to somebody who's gifted, such as yourself, and say, no, that's not true. And I'm not sure whether that is just a matter of. I had a guest here who was a mentalist many years ago, not the guy I had last week, but many years ago, who was speaking to, the listeners, and I kept on feeling like, no, that's not what you're telling it wrong. And then he got it completely wrong. He was getting the whole thing completely wrong all the time, until I said, give me a chance. Let me speak to the listeners. And I got it right. Well, according to the listeners that I was speaking to, they would say to me, but you're getting it right. And let me tell you, I don't have some philosophy or some training or this is what I think or feel at that particular time. So what about guys and people like me who just, got my own tarot thing going on inside of myself?
Well, that's what I was saying. We're actually all born with a sixth sense, a gut feeling, a sense that we can feel when something's not right, or feel that this is how it's going to turn out. But we're often programmed by society, by school, by everybody around us not to trust that. I have still yet to lay out the cards for anybody and tell them something that they didn't already know.
Yes.
The cards really just almost like explain to people why they're feeling something and what they've been feeling. And if this is true, this is likely to happen.
Look at those calls. All right, and we're going to get to your calls, right? We're going to get to your calls. I have this uncanny ability, and it worries me a little bit, because it seems to work. And I don't know how related it is to this kind of thing. But I have a strange ability to be able to see the people I'm talking to on radio. Mm-hmm. So in other words, I not see them. I can't see but on the basis of their voice, I can generally get a sense of what they look like. Mm-hmm. And one year, Tateng and I did an experiment where we said, okay, call in and let's see if Aubrey is going to be able to describe the way that you are. And I, had some regular callers. I've never seen them before. And I was able to describe what they look like and what their hobbies are, just from listening to their voice. Now, again, I don't have some voice speaking into my ear and saying, "Oh, Aubrey."
It's just your gut feeling.
The feeling that I have. Is that how tarot reading works? To a certain extent.
We all have a psychic dimension.
Yeah.
The tarot cards just put those vague feelings into a picture that the person having the reading can identify with. I teach psychic development workshops, so I understand what you say.
Yeah.
And many of us have got a deep gut feeling. Something happens. I knew it was going to happen. I knew I didn't trust him for some reason or other, or somebody just gives you the absolute creeps.
Yeah.
This is what we have. And unfortunately, our education systems, the need
do you sometimes look at somebody and associate them with a particular animal? Does that ever happen?
People can associate people. We had a client that used to associate people with trees.
Yeah.
He'd say, you like a pine tree or you like an aspen tree. Yeah.
Anyway, all right. That's me. That's me. One question that I'd like for you to do a reading for.
Yeah, sure.
Not necessarily for me.
Okay.
But we've just had the budget speech.
Yes.
Yeah? What are the prospects for South Africa to get out of debt?
Tell me when to stop shuffling.
Stop shuffling.
Stop shuffling.
Stop.
Okay. All right. So now I just need to bring my cards together into a nice tidy pack.
I want to take your calls now. My lines are blocked. It's finished. My lines are blocked. I'm sorry. I'm going to take your calls right now.
Okay. And then we've got 3 packs of cards. I want you to choose a pack left, right, or center. That one.
Yeah.
Okay. The first card is the 3 of Pentacles reversed. And the 3 of Pentacles, as you can see, this is the money card, the work card.
So that's a money card.
And this card says, this is a commission, this is a shared thing that people are doing, but it's reversed. That means somebody's got an idea and somebody's got to do the work, and it's not going to come together. Choose another pack. You chose off that one.
Okay.
This one. Okay. All right. And then we'll take that one as the last one. All right. The center card here is another 3. It's the 3 of Wands, which is opening up the discussion.
Yes.
And unless there can be a discussion between that brings ideals and plans into practical reality,
yes,
and gives it an emotional focus,
yes,
it's not going to work.
And that's the story of South Africa.
That's the story of South Africa.
Unless we take our great ideas,
yes,
and we actually find implementable ways,
yes, it's going to take a great deal of focus.
It's going to take a great deal
cannot
of focus.
afford to be sidetracked by anything. So these good ideas, these practical things, and the ideals and the practicalities have to be negotiated. All those rough edges have to be discussed and fought off and ground until there can be a practical solution. But it's going to take an immense amount of focus.
An immense amount of focus.
Immense amount.
Barbra is my guest. Barbrad'Engle. Do I say Engle? Or
The Engel.
The Engel.
The
All
Engel.
Right. The Angel, the Angel, the Angel.
The Angel.
Oh, ooh, wow, wonderful. Astrologer, and we are talking about tarot cards. I'm going to take your calls now on 011-883-0702 or 021-446-0567. Okay, folks, so you heard how Barbra prefers this to happen. You need to call in. I'm going to take a quick spot break, and when I come back, I come straight to your calls. Barbrad'Engle is here with me. We are taking your calls for a tarot reading. Tsegofatso is in Johannesburg. Hi, Tsegofatso.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Tsego, what is the question that you'd like to read? Let me quickly tell you that Barbra is already shuffling the cards in anticipation of your question. And then you are going to ask the question that you ask, and then you have to tell her to stop. And then she'll ask you whatever question she needs you to answer, all right? So what is your question for Barbra?
My question is pretty simple and basic. I'd like to know about my financial future, and I love my romantic future.
Okay. All right. Tell me when you want me to stop shuffling.
You can stop now.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm dividing my cards into 3 packs. Please choose a pack for me, 1, 2, or 3.
All right, let me explain how that is, and I'm hoping that we're doing it also for our other listeners.
Okay.
So, what Barbra has done is that on the desk, she's put 3 packs coming out of that same pack of cards. So there's 3 packs of cards. You know, like you have finder.
Yes.
Yeah. So she's got 3 packs of cards. You need to now choose 1 card from each of those packs. So start from the left.
I choose number 2.
Number 2, yes. Okay. And then another card.
Number 3.
Okay.
And number 1.
And then number 1. Okay.
1.
All right. The financial side here is a little bit challenging for you right now.
Yes.
Okay. I understand that you may be struggling, but you have to stay focused on how you can best use the money for everything that you have to spend it on.
Okay.
Okay. But what I also see here, are you currently involved with somebody?
No, I'm speaking to a couple of people, but we're just speaking, not officially.
So there's a couple of prospects.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. But for you right now, somebody new, it's very difficult for you to find somebody new because you're not 100% happy with the way your finances are. Okay.
Yeah, partly.
So I would suggest that you decide right now. I think you need to give yourself at least another 3 to 4 months where you stay very focused on your finances until you feel okay that you have actually got something to offer somebody new. Okay, so don't be in a rush. Something will will be waiting for you, just not right now. Right now, your main priority has to be on the finances.
Tsakofatso in Johannesburg, thanks very much for your call. Much appreciated. Karen is in Johannesburg. Hi, Karen.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
All right.
Hi, Barbra.
Hi, Karen.
I just want to, just a question. My brother and I have a construction company.
Yes.
We have clients that are extremely happy with us.
Mm-hmm.
But in the last while, we have had just huge amounts of vehicle breakdowns, which has cost our company a huge amount of money.
Okay.
And why are we having these vehicle breakdowns?
Okay, then you've got to tell her when to stop, Karen?
Okay, tell me when you want me to stop shuffling.
Okay, Barbara, you can stop.
Okay, right. Then I've divided the cards into 3 packs.
Again, those 3 packs, Karen, you need to then choose from left to right.
1, 2, or 3. Which
1,
one
2,
do you
or
want
3,
me
yeah.
to start with?
Okay, I'll start with 2.
Okay. Yes.
And then 1.
Okay.
And then 3.
And then 3. Okay. All right. Look, I can understand the breakdowns. Were these vehicles all new, or were they already slightly aging?
No, they were already slightly aging.
Okay, because the first card is the Tower card that says, if it's not working, then your business seems to be outgrowing those things, the vehicles, okay? And understandably, it's costing, but it's also still an investment in the way that your company will be running.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The important thing is to not get stuck on looking at how much all of this is costing, but rather at how much better your business is going to function once you've got all of this sorted out.
Okay.
Okay, because this is a very good business, and that's at the bottom line here. But I think it's so important to stay absolutely focused on where you want the business to go now.
And not focus on the vehicle breakdowns and the amount of money that it's costing our company.
Stuff like that's going to drive you crazy, my dear. Rather just see it as a needed investment in the business and get moving and make your business more successful.
Karen in Johannesburg, thanks very much for your call. Rona is in Johannesburg. Hi, Rona.
Hi, Aubrey.
Yeah.
Hi, Barbra. How are you? Good evening.
Great. Go for it, Rona.
All right, Rona, do you have a question?
I do, Barbara. I want to ask, what direction must I take in order to use my creativity best to manifest income?
That's a jolly good question. All right, tell me when you want me to stop shuffling.
Okay.
Okay, right, and I'm dividing the cards.
Okay, stop shuffling.
Right, I'm dividing the cards into 3 packs now. Please choose a pack for me.
3.
Number 3, yes.
1, 2.
All right. What kind of things do you create?
All kinds of things. I love making stuff. I've worked in the clothing industry for many years, but I also do crochet. I do mosaics. I do all kinds of creative projects.
All right. From what I can see here is that you possibly have too many creative projects on the go. And that I think you need to just zero in on the things that will actually make an income.
Yes.
Okay. And then once you've created just a fairly limited product range, then you can actually make it work. From what I can see here, you're very accomplished. You're not afraid of the hard work, but there's a quiet time lying ahead for you. Probably another 6 weeks where you need to get your ducks in a row now and decide what you want to focus on. And then you must think about advertising properly.
Okay.
Okay, because it's pointless creating without having a market, a way to advertise what you have to. So in this time, please do some research on how best you can advertise and where you can find the best outlets for whatever you want to be doing.
Okay.
Rona, here's my question to you.
Yes.
Does any of this make any real sense to you? I mean, I'm listening to Barbra, I'm listening to you, but does what has been said to you make you feel a sense of greater clarity?
Yes, because I know that I'm just, one day I feel like doing embroidery and the next day I feel like doing beading or making jewelry.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm just sort of floundering in all these ideas, and I'm not sure where to focus the creativity.
It sounds to me like focus is the
Focus and a little bit of market research.
Yeah. Rona, good luck to you. Thanks very much for your call. Much appreciated. Sam is in Pretoria. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Aubrey, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Sam.
Great.
Barbra is already, what do you call, shuffling the cards. What is your question? And then you'll tell her when to stop shuffling, yeah?
My question is, what are the prospects of my business surviving through these financial difficulties I'm going through?
Okay, all right.
But you can stop now, Barbra.
Okay. All right, 1, 2, 3. Please tell me which pack you want me to take first.
1, 2, or 3.
Start with 1.
1, yes.
And open 3.
Yes.
And 2.
Okay. Hoo-wee. I can see that you've been working, you've been going around and around in circles trying to get through these financial difficulties. Are you the only person involved in your business?
That's correct.
All right. You need to wise up. I think you perhaps are being maybe a little bit too trusting of other people. Maybe you are not listening to common sense and rather just trying to just follow what you think is right. Because the chances are here that you're the kind of person who's very easy to persuade to do something that's not going to be good for you. What kind of business do you have?
In a micro-lending business.
Oh, my friend, look, when you're in a business like that, you're always the focus point of other people's bad energy, all right?
Okay.
If you don't do this properly, you could end up losing your business completely. Okay? So maybe you need to just have a look at how you do your business, how you structure it, because it seems like there's not really a clear structure, not so much about how you lend the money out, but how you actually get it back again.
Let me make a quick observation here, Sam, as I look at Barbra and how she's talking to you and look at the cards, right?
Mm.
The same card that appeared when I asked the question about the country's finances, if you heard my question, has just appeared, right? It's exactly the same card that has just appeared.
Wow.
Mm.
And I'm watching Barbra as she speaks to you, and you know how I tell it like I see it, right?
Yes, yes.
She looks to me like she knows what to tell you, but she's not telling you something.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Can you hear that?
That's why I said
Yes.
you have to get the structure right. Otherwise, you could end up closing your business down.
Yeah. So I'm looking at Barbra as she looks at the cards and as she speaks, and I'm interpreting what I'm seeing to you. She knows what she's seeing. She's just not telling you in full blown what she's seeing. And my sense is that you need to call her and you need to talk to her.
I think I will do that.
All right. So listen for her contact details so that I think she can tell you something that she's seeing there or something that she's seeing in your cards that she can't say on air. Yeah, because there's something that she's not saying to you that I can see she wants to say to you, but perhaps you need to have a private conversation with her.
Private conversation.
Does that make sense to you?
It does make sense.
All right.
Yeah, in her voice.
Yes, yes.
Other stuff.
Sam in Pretoria. Thanks very much for your call. Much appreciated. Sam is in Pretoria. See, that was my psychic stuff happening right there.
Yes, you see, sometimes when you're speaking on air, you cannot raise very personal things.
Yep.
It's something that the person needs to know about. So thank you very much for that,
Sure.
Aubrey. I really appreciate
But
your
did you feel
input
that? Did
there.
you feel?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Hey, I feel like I'm on a zone here, man. Let me speak to Moniz in Alberton. Moniz, hi. Hello, Moniz. Monese. Is it Monese?
How are you, sir?
Yeah, hi, Monese. Is it Monese, ne?
It's Mulife.
Mulefe. Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Mulefe. Go ahead, my brother. I'm sorry, yeah? Go ahead. What is your question?
I just want to know my future in the company that I'm working for, because I took them to court because I found out that the person that I'm working with, that I'm changing with, is getting more money than me. So I can see that they are starting to make me feel uncomfortable here. So I just want to see, to know my future in this company.
Okay.
So she's still shuffling the cards, Mulefe, and you need to then tell her when to stop, and then you need to choose your cards, right?
Okay, you can stop, Papa.
Okay. All right. Pack number 1, number 2, number 3. Tell me which one you want me to start with. 1, 2, or 3?
Okay, it's 2,
2.
1, and
Yes.
3.
Okay. I understand. Has the court case been decided yet, or is it still ongoing?
It's still ongoing because the first time I lost, and then it is still we put in for the second time.
Okay. Look, according to the cards, you may not get the kind of decision from the court that you're hoping for.
Okay.
Okay. So I think you may feel that your time with this company is very limited.
Okay.
Okay. I would suggest that you look around for something else. You want to rather be working with a company who will appreciate the kind of input that you give, the kind of dedication and care that you put into your work. Because I see you've got a tremendous amount of potential, but I think you've been, I don't know, I wouldn't like to say set up, but you've been put in a very difficult position.
Mulefe, will you also listen for Barbara's contact details?
Yes, I will.
And get in touch with her, yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
Mulefe
All right.
is in Alberton. Thanks very much for your call. Sipho is in Katlehong. Hi, Sipho.
Hello, Aubrey. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Sipho, go ahead.
I'm currently in the business right now, which is something that I'm passionate about, helping people, but I'm struggling to make money out of it. So I just want to know about my future in this business.
Okay. Tell me when you want me to stop shuffling, Sipho.
You can stop now, Barbra.
Okay. And 1, 2, 3. Tell me which one you want me to start with. 1, 2, or 3.
I'll go with 3
Okay.
and
Yes.
3 again
Okay.
and 3 again.
Okay.
Okay, stop there.
All right. Sipho, I understand that you want to help people, but I think from this business you may be doing it incorrectly. Because it seems to me here that trying to help the people has put you into a very unfavorable financial position.
Yes.
Okay. Did you get any preparation, or were you trained in any way so that you could go into this business in the first place?
Yeah, I did some workshops.
Okay. Because I think what you maybe need to do is some kind of refresher course, something that can teach you to be far more businesslike and clear about what you actually have to offer people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Don't do things for free, Sipho.
Yes, because, with the best will in the world, if we're not making money, then you shouldn't be in this kind of business.
Yes.
Sipho in Katlehong, thanks very much for your call. We've got 1 minute left. Eh? Can you do something in a minute?
We can try.
Let's try. Booty is in Naledi. Hi, Booty.
Good evening, Aubrey.
Very good, thanks, Bra Booty.
Yes.
Your question.
Aubrey, 2 questions, yes. One, will I ever be able to see financial freedom before end of this year?
Before the end of this year. Okay, let me do this question first. All right.
I think we're going to stop it there, Booty, because we've run out of time. Okay. Choose a card. 1, 2, 3.
3.
Yep.
Yes.
2 and 1.
All right. Where you are now is very challenging, but if you be careful with your money, very, very careful, because you sometimes looks like to me that you are, when you get a little bit, you just spend it. You don't put it back in the business or whatever you're doing. So, this is hard times now, but if you can just sit tight, by the time you get to May, you should start to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Okay? And then between May and July, that's when you have to work really, really hard so that you can get yourself moving along.
Putti, thanks very much for your call. Your contact details, Barbra.
Yes.